The single greatest cause of atheism is Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips, then walk out the door and deny him by their lifestyles. That is what an unbelieving world simply finds unbelievable. That, in a nutshell, is my dad. I grew up in a very loving and family-oriented home. My parents strived to give my sister and I a very secure and positive childhood experience, which neither of them had, and they succeeded. My mom grew up in a very works-based faith where religion was something you just kind of did. My dad was and still is a self-proclaimed atheist. The ironic thing, or as I like to say, the God thing is that they sent me to a Christian school purely because of education reasons. They felt like they had better education at this Christian school than the public schools in my area. It was at this school that I came to know Jesus as my personal Savior at the age of 17. Before salvation, I didn't notice many differences between what my family believed and what I was being taught at the school. My mom would occasionally take me to church. We sometimes would pray, and they taught me to be very moral people for my sister and I. After I came to know the Lord, that's when I realized my dad doesn't believe in God. That was hard. I had thoughts that were just consuming my mind. You know, how could he not believe in God? Would this affect our relationship? Will he still love me? And those just kind of raced through my mind and consumed my thoughts. I spent many nights praying for my dad, and I'm happy to say that still to this day, we have a very close relationship. We have very open, honest conversations about life and faith and kind of what we believe and why we believe those things. I love my dad. He's a fun and loyal, very moral person who has a servant's heart. And I think that's the reason why my dad has such a hard time with Christianity. He believes family comes first, and he would give the shirt off his back for his family or his close friends. If there was somebody in need, he would do whatever it took to help them out and wouldn't ask anything in return. Then he sees Christians who don't act very moral and who love is very conditional. And I think that makes it hard, because how can a man who doesn't believe in God act more loving and more moral than people who do claim to believe in God? He told me a story once about when he was 12 or 13 years old. He had a bunch of questions about science and faith and how they mesh together. So he went to go see his pastor to ask those questions. The pastor simply said, "Hey, I'll pray for you," and dismissed him. I think at that point my dad realized that if he's going to find an answer to his questions, it's not going to be through faith. But there's hope. My mom finally understood the gospel message, and she became a Christian about 7 years ago. And as for my dad, he's getting closer. My wife Robin and I are constantly deconstructing his views on Christianity and trying to show him the true God of the Bible. At times this means apologizing for how Christians have treated him in his past. It means for me apologizing at times for how I've treated him. I think through this whole process for Robin and I, the thing we've learned the most is that, you know what, we have to be above reproach as Christians, because we truly are ambassadors for Christ. People notice how we act, how we talk, how we live our lives, and see, does that match up with their faith? Sure, there are days when I think, if my dad were to die today, he wouldn't go to heaven. And that's hard. That's really hard. But at the same time, I get a cool opportunity that many people don't get, and that's the chance to see their dad come to know the Lord for the first time. That's my hope. I'm Sean, and that's my story.